Hey everybody, I'm Kendall.
And it's Corey. And we have two of our favorite people back today, Monica Hall and Kristal Park.
And Monica is finally talking about something she kept mostly secret for decades.
After reconnecting with biological family, Monica became involved with a man she learned was her half-brother. She talks about genetic sexual attraction, addiction, shame, getting sober, and why it took her so long to be able to talk about any of it publicly.
And as an adoptee, I think there are parts of reunion that people outside this world just don't understand. You can meet somebody who is technically family, but they're also a complete stranger. There's no shared childhood, no history together, and suddenly you're trying to figure out what this person is supposed to be to you.
Now, Monica's letting Kristal put some of the most private parts of her life on film, which is a pretty big leap of faith considering Monica apparently handed her a bunch of old videos without knowing exactly what the hell was on them.
That was brave.
Or that was Monica.
Also true.
Kristal is an adoptee herself, a filmmaker, and she and Monica have become very close friends. So we talk about what happens when you're interviewing somebody you care about and you still have to ask the questions that might be hurtful.
If you recognize both of their names, there's a reason. They've each been on Family Twist before, and we're relaunching those episodes. So please listen to them if you haven't already, because there's a lot more to both of their stories.
And this conversation was so good that we had to split it in two.
Next week, we get into another connection between Monica and Kristal. They're both adoptees, and they're both Cree.
That's part two. For now, let's get into part one with Monica Hall and Kristal Park. Hello, Kristal. Hello, Monica. Welcome back to the Family Twist podcast.
Hi, Corey. It's so good to be back.
It's been a couple of years and both great episodes. And I love getting to connect with you in person when we can at events and stuff. But it's great to see your faces here. And wow, when I saw the trailer for this documentary, I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, we got to do something. I'm bringing them back for this. And as you know, it's kind of no holds barred here. So Monica, on your episode, we got into talking about soap that's like tingly for men's balls. So feel free to go as extreme as you want.
You know, I have no filter, and I gratefully did not go back and listen to that podcast. Maybe I should.
See, this is why Monica is perfect to be the subject of a documentary.
I agree.
This is why.
Agree.
I have no idea what I said. And then when I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh, God. I think she said that I burped. I asked her, please not to use that.
We needed to keep a little bit of dignity for you, like just a little
Correct.
bit. Yeah.
Let's start off with, how did you two meet?
That's a great question. I was hoping you'd ask that. I think I'll start since it was me, I think, that contacted Kristal first. I was at, I think it might have even been the Untangling Our Roots conference that I met you at. And
yes, in Denver.
So somebody there said, do you know Kristal Park? She's also adopted and she's also Cree. I'm like, no. And she's in Canada. Oh, no. I got to find out who she is. And I had never heard of her, right? So I went on Facebook and I sent her a message.
Yeah, Monica sent me her phone number and I called her up right then and there. And we chatted on the phone for an hour and it was like we'd been friends for years. And then I ordered her book. I was recovering from surgery and I am a really slow reader. And she kept sending me texts like, have you got to this chapter yet? And so obviously, her memoir is beautiful, Practically Still Virgin. If you haven't read it, please do so. And I was captivated by Monica's honesty and her vulnerability. And Monica is Monica. What you read about her is what you will see when you meet her in person. And those are my favorite kind of people. That was sort of the beginning of our friendship. Yeah.
I think one of the most magical things about our community is that we're able to make these connections and build these relationships very quickly. And it's incredible to be at this stage in our lives when it's hard to make new friends, to be able to make so many friends. And that's definitely one of the highlights for me and Kendall doing this podcast, especially getting to go to the events in person. and bond with people. So yeah, Monica and I, same, hit it off immediately in Denver a few years ago and then reconnected this year in Atlanta. I love seeing how different people connect and come together and start working on projects like this. And that's what we need as the communities grow, is for more of us to collaborate to get these stories out there.
Yeah, I always say more is more. I never have this sense of competition. If somebody's starting a new project or starting a new podcast, like, call me up. I will support you. I will hype you up. I'll give you information that you need. We're just all here to make the community better and make it more rich, right?
That's where healing comes from, is community and connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not feeling so alone, under hearing somebody else's story that resonates with you, and you're like, oh, it's kind of a relief, right? And then having these really beautiful friendships that evolve. Kristal and I are very close. It's beautiful, really. And I would never have met her if it hadn't been for that event that I went to and talking to somebody else. And then all the people that just communicate and share. It's sharing, like Kristal said.
Who had the inkling that this could be a movie?
It was me. And you know what? I don't think too hard about things before I do them. I kind of get an idea and I run with it. And, if the doors are open, then I move forward. And I think it was after I finished reading Monica's memoir, and I just said, would you be willing to tell your story via documentary? And I think you said yes right away.
I remember it a little differently.
Okay. Remind me, because I don't have a great memory either.
Okay. So we talked a number of times on the phone and we FaceTimed,
Mm-hmm.
So we got to know each other, and she'd read my memoir and I'd watched her film because she's adopted. You get to know someone not only through their films or their work, but just seeing people. Like FaceTiming is so important if we're far away, because she's up in Kelowna, British Columbia. I'm in Sacramento. And one day she called me. She goes, Monica, I'm on your website and you have a lot of historical videos. We should do a documentary on you.
Yes, I remember now.
I'm like, is there any money in it? No. So it would be a nice bonus. I'd be happy to do anything with Kristal. So just answer and I will follow. So, just ask. And that's what she did. And I thought, yeah, how interesting, I said, I have just on my website alone, monicahall.com, I have historical videos, but I had so much more. I had been collecting data, memoirs, appointment books, videos. I had a camcorder when they first came out. And there was also a TV interview that was done in 1980 before there were camcorders that I had captured. It's rough, but I captured it on a VHS, which I had transferred. So I bought this really heavy duty thumb drive and had them all transferred. I didn't realize what all I had transferred, but I just thought they were, these old videos. She happened to watch my son be born. That I didn't know was on there. In fact, I've never seen that. I'm like, oh.
You just sent it all.
But you know what? It's a rite of passage as a filmmaker, because my editor and mentor, Chelsea McAvoy, also received 3 birthing videos of mine. And she's like, oh God, if I have to see your vagina one more time. As soon as I saw Monica's, I was like, I called Chelsea up. I'm like, it happened. It happened to me. I wasn't expecting it. It's a rite of passage. But you're right, Monica. I do remember that. And I think that's such an interesting point you make, because a lot of people want to tell their story via documentary. They really do. But if you don't have that historical footage, it's just a talking head. It really is no difference than just a podcast where you're, an interview style telling your story. And so to be able to go back and see Monica pregnant with her first child and doing this interview in the 1980s, like, my goodness, it just, for me as a filmmaker, it just gave me like the tingles to see this footage of her. And one thing that I appreciated so much was that Monica has been telling her story since the 80s.
Oh, I've been talking about my daughter, Mary Claire, since I had her, which was 1973.
Yeah.
And then it's evolved as the story has evolved.
When you go back to the interview that we have and you'll see it in the film from the 1980s, Monica's been telling her story in the same way since then. And the consistency, I think for me, I really appreciated it. Not that she hasn't grown as a person, because she's grown, she's evolved as a human being. So she tells it from a much more healed place, I would say, if that's fair to say, Monica. But yeah, it was just struck me as so interesting to see that version of her in the 80s that was telling the same story in the same way. I really appreciated that.
I think you're absolutely right, Kristal. I love documentary filmmaking, but when it's just the talking heads, I mean, I'll watch them if I'm interested in the subject matter. But man, having that archival footage is so important. Like I love documentaries about entertainment stuff, musicians and movies and things like that. So of course you're going to have, if it's somebody prominent, you're going to have that great footage, concert footage from the 70s or backstage and that sort of thing. But if it's just 5 people talking,
Yeah.
it can pretty fast.
It does. So visually you're going to be excited and entertained by Monica's 80s coiffed hair and her business attire outfits and, all of that. She's always been beautiful. And she's just so entertaining to watch as we've been going through the editing process. And me and the other editor, Chelsea, we just laugh and cry and everything. Has been great.
I don't know what I say when I'm speaking. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's not filtered generally. And I think as I've gotten older, it's even less filtered, but in a different way. It's like now I don't really give a shit what you think of me. Back when I was younger, I really cared. I had a lot of issues with low self-esteem, but that's gone. God, that's one of the things about aging is, other than all the wrinkles and all the other things, I mean, the wisdom that comes with that and the perspective that comes from a healed place. I mean, I don't think that any of it's ever truly get healed. I don't think that's our destiny, but I've grown so much and have such a different perspective of everything that happened. A lot of that, was through the writing process and for being sober for 4 decades and working on myself. But being able to reach out and help somebody else, that's the biggest gift here, because the storytelling, the writing, the podcast, the interviews, I think that's why I wanted to continue doing this work, is because it's helpful. It's a gift. This stuff that's happened to me, happened for me as a gift so that I could share it. That's my truth. That may not resonate with anyone else, but for me, that's where I've come. I've had a lot of hard stuff happen, but Monica's always been this little powerhouse ball of fire. Just let's go. And when things were tough, I didn't know they weren't supposed to be. I didn't know that those things weren't supposed to be happening. Or, I guess I was in this little cocoon or this ball of self-centeredness where I couldn't see anything outside myself. And I just pushed through it and got to the other side eventually and pushed it down, which is how, some people happen to be really sensitive and creative. I'm not that sensitive, and I am so grateful that I'm not. It's like people call me or text me, "Oh my God, I owe you an apology." I'm for what? That may bother me. Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. So that's a gift. I don't get my feelings hurt anymore. Very rarely. I can't even think of the last time. So, wait till the film comes out. I don't know what all I said. I haven't seen it. I've just seen the trailer. So
nothing will go out until Monica approves it, because, that as a filmmaker, that's really important for me that we can create something that Monica can feel really proud of and feel comfortable with. And we are talking about some very difficult things. So that is definitely one thing that for me as a filmmaker, it was really important that Monica be honored in this experience. And Thank God she's not sensitive. I am sensitive. She always says to me, she's like, "Oh, you're so sensitive." And I am. I'm very sensitive. But I really wanted to be sensitive to Monica and to really honor her in this process from beginning to end.
I think that's a great approach, Kristal. Like, and that's how for bigger projects and stuff, that's how I've always done things. And we tell people when they come on the podcast, if you say something and you're like, please, can we cut that out? We're not gotcha journalism. We're not going to keep it in and to piss you off, because why burn that bridge? You don't know how this person could be in your life later on down the line. So yeah, when I've done my books and stuff, same way. There were a couple things that I've had to edit out that I wasn't crazy about editing out, but I understood and I wanted this to be approved by the subjects,
Yeah.
When you're adapting a book into a documentary or a film of fiction, obviously, unless you're doing like a miniseries or something, you're not going to be able to include everything. And so with her book and then all of this archival footage, how did you decide what the big themes of the movie were going to be?
So I think the way that we approached this was that we approached it as though the book didn't even exist, to be perfectly honest. We wanted it to be sort of a standalone, like in the way that we made it, project, so that if nobody had read the book, that they could come and watch the film and then be like, oh, there's a book. I'm going to read more about Monica. So I think for us, it was, being an adoptee, of course, the adoptee experience, being a transracial adoptee, being, because Monica is Cree, and being a birth mother. And then the fourth theme that was not in the book which was reunion and genetic sexual attraction. And so that was sort of the overarching topics that we wanted to address. And so we went into production knowing that was what we wanted to talk about. All of the questions were curated around that.
Genetic attraction is not something that we talk about often on the podcast because we want to be very sensitive to people's realities and things like that. And I understand for many, it can be a very traumatic, challenging thing, but it's in the trailer. So Monica, do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience and how you feel today?
Without giving anything too much away that's in the film, or that I'm assuming will be in the film, because again, I don't really remember what I said. One thing I am is honest. I mean, what you see is what you get. Been a problem for me in my youth, definitely. Oh, you'll really like Monica once you get to know her. People do not like me when they meet me. At least when I was young, at least I was told that. That GSA, genetic sexual attraction, was something that I did not tell anyone for decades. Now, I got sober, clean and sober in 1984. And it was shortly before that the relationship ended with my half-brother, my genetic half-brother. I think that was a big part of my bottom. It was just this incredible shame. And it was also a whole lot of grief, because the relationship, I loved him so much. It was everything. It was violent. It was jealous. It was passionate. It was exciting. It was sweet. It was loving, but it was killing me. It wasn't healthy in any way, shape, or form. We were both using and drinking. And when I could no longer do it anymore, the relationship ended, and I sought help for my alcoholism and cocaine use. And so I kept that secret for decades. I mean, I told maybe a few people, but my mother knew. She got a phone call about it from Canada, and a lot of shame. And so it wasn't until I have a daughter that's currently 41 years old, and she and I grew up together because I got sober and I got pregnant. And so basically I was 27 years old and we were both growing up together. So we're very close. And she thought she knew everything about me. And I didn't tell her about that until maybe 8 years ago. And then when I'm working on my second memoir, which is all the things that I really wanted to write about, the stuff I really wanted to delve into that didn't make the first book, and some of which is not in the film. That's the one I wanted to write. And you can't You can't have everything in one book. So I knew that I was going to have to tell my son. So I have a son that's currently 32, and that was the one that was hard for me, and both my kids were just, oh, it's okay, Mom. They had a lot of compassion for me. I didn't know him. He was a stranger. I'd never met him in my life. I didn't even know he really existed before that. So they had a lot of compassion and love, and that was okay. My mom and my brother is actually my roommate now, and my mom knew, but we never spoke about it that I can remember. In the first book, I definitely was not ready to share it. I think I needed definitely more healing. And the first book was probably just one of the most incredible things I've ever done to help heal my adoption, the abuse that I've suffered from countless places I put myself. I worked with a developmental editor that would pull things out of me. My mom and I would go, wow, is she a therapist? How does she get to these questions? And it was when that book was done, I felt like protecting that girl on the cover. So there's been a shift since March of 2024 that's happened, that had that not have happened, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have definitely been talking about this or being as vulnerable as I was in the interview process through. And, Kristal has such a lovely spirit and such a sweet, sweet way. And she's so gentle with me. Like in the trailer, you could hear, I don't want to push you over the edge. You can't push me over the edge. She's terrified. This is like really hard stuff I'm talking about. And it was. It was hard. She interviewed me first in her studio in British Columbia. And when I was done, I needed a drink. I just wanted to go back and go to bed. And instead, we went to a concert. I'm like, a concert? Oh, my God. And it was the best thing. It was like divinely inspired. It just blew out all the cobwebs, opened my heart. I felt loved. I went with her family. Chelsea was there, the editor, her husband, Stuart, which he's adorable. And, I just felt so loved. It was so divinely inspired, all of it. I know there's no mistake there, I feel really good about it. I haven't seen the film, but I trust her so much. And I know that it's going to be it's going to help people, because it's not something people talk about. It's too shameful.
Right. So, Kristal, when we're, getting into that in the film, are you wearing your filmmaker's hat and your friend hat at the same time, or how do you approach it? Because you said you're very sensitive, and obviously this is a very sensitive subject. So how do you approach that and what you want to include in the film?
When we were interviewing and doing the interview, I think I was definitely in my filmmaker's box, and, I take it very seriously what I do. And then I think as we would cut and take a pause and I'd go touch up her makeup or her hair, I was a friend again. I've also been in her place of sitting there and being interviewed and telling my story, and understand how important it is for the filmmaker and the subject to have this deep trust between the two of you, because you really are sharing your life. It's sacred. It's sacred. I just feel so happy to hear that your experience was so positive too, Monica, because that was the intention in which I set out to create. It was quite an experience and few days for us. And then we did the second interview. Chelsea and I flew to Sacramento and filmed Monica for a day in her home, and she welcomed us into her home, and I slept on that bed right behind her there. And I have to tell you, this is just a little side note, which has nothing to do with anything, but Monica gives mom energy. And I don't know about some of you, but when you go home and you crawl into the bed and you're with your family, and there's such a safety and a comfort that I have when I'm with Monica. She does give that mom energy. So I just really appreciate her so much. And she gives the mom energy. She did, in fact, say to me once, look at me when I talk to you. She gives both.
You're right, Kristal. I hadn't really thought about that, but there's definitely parts of Monica that remind me of my own mom, the no filter thing for sure. And I think that's how you're drawn to people. What made me walk up to Monica's booth, a few years ago, and it must have been that I was picking up that vibe. Okay, I think we can safely say that Monica still has no filter.
Thank goodness.
And I mean that as the highest compliment.
What I really appreciate is that Monica can talk about this now without pretending she always could. She couldn't. Kept the relationship with her half-brother mostly secret for decades. She talks about the shame she felt, the grief when it ended, the addiction that was happening at the same time, and eventually getting sober.
Then there's Kristal, who has to take all of that and make a documentary out of it without turning Monica's life into something Monica doesn't recognize.
The trust between Monica and Kristal is a big part of this story for me. Kristal says she considers what Monica is giving her sacred, and you can tell she means it.
Although Kristal also got an unexpected education when she started going through Monica's old videos.
Yes, she did.
Okay, we'll just leave that there and let you listen to it.
Probably best.
If you haven't heard Monica and Kristal's original Family Twist episodes, we're putting both of them back into the feed. Go spend some time with them individually because there's a whole lot more to these women that we could possibly cover in these 2 episodes.
And then come back next week. Monica and Kristal are both Cree, and in part 2, we talk about what that means when you were adopted away from that heritage and have to find your own way back to it.
Thank you to Monica and Kristal for coming back to Family Twist. We adore you both.
And thank you all for listening and for continuing to share the show.
We'll see you next week.
And remember, family secrets are the ultimate plot twist. The Family Twist podcast is produced by Mosaic Multimedia, LLC.